Welcome to part 5 of the Shea Yarn Crochet Along to make this stitch sampler cardigan. In part 5, we'll be covering how to make and attach this hood onto your cardigan, which is a totally optional piece. You don't need to add this hood if you don't want to. You can just skip this part. If you missed any of the previous parts, you can ladder back up to them right up here. And let's get to putting this thing together. So let's make a hood, and we're basically going to make like one of the simplest hoods that you can, because I wanted to keep this like a beginner, intermediate kind of project. First thing we're going to do is we're going to sew it separately, or we're going to crochet it separately from our piece, and then we're going to sew it on afterwards. That's going to mean a lot less flipping and flopping around a heavy cardigan that's already been completed. So with that, I'm going to start off a rectangle that goes from basically this part, I'm thinking from here to here. So this is around 20 inches from this spot to this spot, and that gives me a little bit of leeway. I measured from there to there. So you are going to chain yourself a chain that gets you from this-ish point to this point, and you're going to work your randomizer into a rectangle and keep going up, 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 and I'll check in with you in a little bit. So I ended up going way longer with my hood piece than I had originally planned, because I decided I wanted to make it more of a statement piece. So it's definitely going to be like an oversized hood. You don't need to make yours as oversized as mine is, and you'll see how much, it's about 29 inches. You'll see how much 29 inches is on mine when I apply it. But for now, I'm going to keep working this rectangle up, and we're at about 14 inches right now. I'm going to go at least 4 more inches before I even start to measure it to sew it together. So I ended up going to where this is around 18 inches long. So now I'm weaving in all of my ends. So I've got most of them on this side. I need to get a couple throughout. And then, of course, all the ones on this side that are just going to make for beautiful scrap yarn. So it certainly makes weaving in ends a little bit easier. And then this is really messily put together right now, but this is going to be the face of it. So what I'm going to do after I weave in all the ends is I'm going to pin a line. I like to do a curve here just so the back isn't too pointy. So I'll basically pin a line and then along this seam and sew that up. And I'll check in back after I've woven in the ends and done the pinning. So I wove in all of my ends, I turned it inside out, and now here is the line that I'm going to sew that I've pinned. So I'm just going to sew kind of usual along my seam line, but then back here I'm just going to curve it in a little bit just to flatten this piece. You could do a decrease in the middle, but that seems like a lot of work, and trust me, this little flappy bit is, we can pin it down if it's noticeable, but it's really not going to be noticeable when it's on your head. We are making a simple and straightforward hood for this first crochet along project, so anyone who feels like they want to make one feels comfortable doing it. That's the goal, guys. So here it is, all sewn up and turned the right way out. So what we will do next is pin it and sew it onto our actual cardigan. Before I do any kind of like larger sewing on anything like this, I like to do a pin and a try on, so that's what I'm doing. And this is the hood. It's kind of like Little Red Riding Hood-ish. I love it. So I'm very happy with the size and the placement of this. So now that I have it pinned, I am going to sew on our hood. And when it comes to pinning these two pieces together, I literally just matched them in their middles and worked my way out. So it is all sewn on, and here we are. Like I said, I wanted a nice big hood, a statement piece. You don't have to go this big with yours. You could be way farther back and not as deep, but this is just the style that I wanted. So in our next and last video for this series, we'll cover putting the trim on and then some options for pockets. So stay tuned for that. It'll probably be out in like a day or two. I'm planning on doing that work on Saturday, today being Thursday night. So let me know if you guys have any questions so far, and I can't wait to see what you guys make with this.